So as the last driver heads round, Kareem Horsford going to be heading round to the grid now. We go back and we just have a quick look at the order for the grid. Luke Mottram going to be on pole, Daniel Fields second, Kareem Horsford third, Benji Smith in fourth, Aaron Spendiff fifth, Brandon Page sixth, Leandro Brown seventh, Tommy Farrelly in eighth, and Joe Wilkes in ninth place. So as the attention is now drawing towards the beginning of next year's championships, there is the small matter of the last few rounds of 2017 to go yet for a lot of the drivers now. This will be the last of the full-time championships for this month. Or beginning, sorry. This is one of the first ones for this month. And so after this race we'll have one more round in November. And that will be the championship decider, I think. This is still a very, very close championship. I don't have the figures on me at the moment, but be very close indeed. So the red lights come on. Green, and away we go. Joe Wilkes with a good start from the back, jumping. Oh, I didn't have to back out there. He's now dropped back a little bit. Got away from the line very nicely. And who's going to emerge first place? I think that is Kareem Horsford. Oh no, it's not, sorry. Luke Mottram. Still first as they come through the first hairpin. Daniel Fields behind him. Kareem Horsford third. So as they were. Driver's head now down under the gantry for the first time. We'll check. See who has changed in the order. I don't think at the moment there has actually been any changes. No overtaking on that opening lap at all. Although Daniel Fields lining up now. Going to be having a look down his pylon. Mottram just ahead at the moment, but Daniel sizing him up, working out where he can get past. Doing so very well indeed. So those front two starting to open up a bit of a lead now. Third place Kareem has got Benji Smith and Aaron Spendiff all over the back of him now. As Aaron just getting past Benji, but can he hold that into pylon? I don't think he can. Benji gets back past. A little nudge from Aaron. Still accelerating at that point, of course, it didn't really matter too much. That tuition I did with Aaron the other day, as I said, we were in the adult carts, and he was saying how different they are to driving these junior carts. Where a driver of Aaron's calibre and an age would probably be flat out from the majority of this circuit. There's contact warning up car number 6, which is Leandro Brown receiving contact warning. So Joe falling off towards the back. And at the front, much the same happening. Now the lead pair starting to drive away somewhat. Third place still Kareem. Although maybe not for long. Benji Smith having a look. Can't quite make it work this time. And they bunch up. And Aaron Spendip having another look. Can't quite get it done this time. Now Brandon Page is in that battle as well. Kareem Horsford tucking in behind the steering wheel as much as he can, trying to make himself as streamlined as possible. Still sceptical as to how much effect that has with these junior karts with their big flat headrest. But as much as anything, it might be a psychological thing for a lot of these drivers. Was Aaron having a look up the inside, not quite making it work this time. Benji's going to have the inside line for pylon, heading to even. And the inside line for pylon by the looks of it, but now Brandon Page having a look as well. Gets up the inside of Aaron Spendip but can't make it stick. Oh, not quite quick enough to get back in front for the right hand part of pylon 1. So he's ended up slightly wider than he would have done, has dropped off again. But a nice little opportunity he can quite make work. Nice defensive driving from Aaron Spendip as well. There's Benji Smith having a look around the outside of Kareem Horsford. I don't think that's going to work for Elbow. But can he get up the inside of him here? He can't. Nice defensive driving again from Kareem this time. They're wheel to wheel, bumper to bumper. Benji Smith just receiving a little bit of a bump draft turbo boost from Aaron Spendip there. And it might help him get past. It's going to make that work, and he has. Benji Smith up into third place. Kareem Horsford back in front of him again now. So Kareem, after that little jostle at the opposite end of the circuit, we might be having that again this time. So stay grip here. Benji Smith still fourth place, but only just. The leader's starting to drive away again now, and this is the majority of the drivers now are in this train. This midfield train of 6 karts of the 9. And that's very, very close at the front there now, and I think Brandon Page Brandon Page passes Benji Smith in stadium. Benji gets back at him through hairpin, and that's excellent. Aaron Spendip now past Brandon as well. Swapping positions all over the place. Nice clean driving. Nothing doing at pylon, I don't think. It's not going to quite make it work there. But this train of 6 karts still very, very much the main action point of this race, so we'll stay with it. As they reappear from behind the hedge, I think that's Aaron Spendip going up the inside, doesn't quite make it work. Let's try and go around the outside at Elbow, which isn't going to work. Benji very defensive at hairpin 1 and hairpin 2 as well with a defensive line. Aaron's going to try and get up the inside, and has, but I don't think that'll quite be enough. Benji's going to get him down the straight, and does. Into pylon, business as usual. Brandon Page still on the back of Aaron Spendip. There's Benji Smith having a look now at Kareem Horsford up the inside into stadium. And I think he might have made that stick, and he does. Oh, and Aaron Spendip getting through on the inside as well, but he's not going to get around the outside of Elbow, surely, and he doesn't. Kareem gets back at him, and Brandon gets through as well, but not quite enough to hold the position. So Benji Smith now up into third place, as I think that is the number 9 of Leandro Brown, gets past Brandon Page and Aaron Spendiff. Brandon Page now running slightly wide out of pylon 1, and maybe had a small error I didn't quite see. And that's put him slightly further down. Tommy Farrelly got past him as well. And the race leaders still bumper to bumper. Luke Mottram and Daniel Fields. But we have the rest of the, realistically the rest of the grid all bunched together. Leandro Brown there, gaining a couple of positions on the last lap. As did Tommy Farrelly, and a little bit of contact between Brandon Page and Tommy Farrelly. My camera struggling slightly to work out where it should focus. And there we go, we've got the focus back somewhat, so we'll go back to this main battle. Green there. Benji Smith now opening up a gap. Still a long way to go, of course. Brandon Page definitely not out of this yet. So Benji opening up that gap to Kareem, who's trying to open up a gap to Aaron Spendiff. Brandon Page all over the back of Tommy Farrelly. Can he get past him at pylon 1 this time? Tommy Farrelly goes defensive, holds him off for the time being at least. Brandon, a little bit of a run actually coming out of pylon 2. So there's Brandon there in the orange that you can see at the back of this group. Still just behind Tommy Farrelly. And Aaron Spendiff now having a look at Kareem Horsford, trying to go up the inside at Stadium. Doesn't quite make it work this time. Fearsome on that curb as ever. And we look maybe around the outside at Elbow, not going to work. I have to say a supreme drive by Kareem to hold off an accomplished driver like Aaron. Side by side as they head down towards pylon. Kareem pulling ahead slightly. Just at a power to weight ratio. Aaron is as tall as me, so obviously does weigh slightly more. Having said that, having a look down the straight, he's got the inside line in Stadium. He can make it work. Oh, and they're side by side. Oh, and he must have had to back out, but I think he's passed now. Aaron Spendiff goes into 4th place. So Benji Smith, try as he might, couldn't keep him behind him. So superb driving from those two, nice and clean. So Luke Mottram still the race leader and has the fastest lap at the moment. Currently approaching Joe Wilkes. Let's put him one lap down. Joe, I assume, will probably do the sensible thing as soon as he realises they're there and let them through. It's not obliged to, of course, but we did try and encourage it. So as we just have a quick look at the current order. You see at the top of the screen there, you can see the link for the live timing. live.alphatiming.co.uk//RY. Link is also available through our website in the Junior Championship section. It seems to be Joe Wilkes retiring from this race by the looks of things, but it's being brought back into the pit lane. I didn't see if it was. I don't think it was a mechanical issue, so it may have just been his not feeling great today. Everybody has off days. Benji Smith now just flying away and in the hot pursuit of the leaders. They're still jostling further up the road. This is the battle for 4th place. Seeing Kareem Horsford and Aaron Spendith. Oh, and Aaron having a look up the inside, coming out of pylon. Didn't quite work for him this time. His line, I have to say, through S's on pylon 2 is a lot better than Kareem's, and that I think is why he's carrying so much more speed into stadium, and I think that's going to help him this time. Or as he gets squeezed on the curb, but I think he might just, he's past him. Nicely done there. You saw Kareem have to back out because Aaron was more than alongside him, he was just about in front, and that was an excellent move. Really proper elbows out racing, but fair as well. And so we've 22 minutes to go on the live timing. We can assume that that is accurate enough because there was no break. Oh, there was contact there between Aaron Spendith and Kareem Horsford. It sounded like a fairly hefty contact. They didn't see it. But Aaron's still in front and Kareem just behind him. No contact warning is given, so it must have just gone down as a racing incident, which I think is probably fair. Both drivers in the positions they were beforehand. And there's a contact warning out now to car number 10, which is Kareem Horsford. So I spoke too soon. Contact warning for number 10, Kareem Horsford. The driver here with a Venom crash helmet. Distinctive crash helmet, one of the most distinctive in all of the junior championships, I would say. There's Daniel Fields taking the lead now from Luke Mottram, as they just managed to get past through hairpin 2, I think that was. In fact, no, he's been in the lead for a lap or so, because he's picked up on the live timing as being in the lead. So the gap between them, though, very, very small, only 0.2 of a second. Luke Mottram still with the fastest lap. And it's been confirmed for me now. Joe Wooks is a DNF, unfortunately. Retirement. The pack's starting to open up a bit now. Brandon Page back past Leandro Brown and Tommy Faraday. So a good drive from him. And of course, in his orange and black Dab Motorsport overalls from his karting owner-driver karting days in cadets. We'd quite like to see how you would compare to a cadet driver now. He's been out of it for a little while. Obviously he's a lot taller now as a contact warning goes out. So another contact warning for Kareem Horsford. So that'll be his second warning. He will be, if he gets another, he'll be called in. So 3 strikes and you're out. So, but as I was saying, Brandon Page starting out, of course, in the Honda Cadets, racing here, racing other circuits around the country, and now just racing here in our junior championships. And every time I see him, he seems to be a bit taller. It won't be long until he's bigger than me. I was actually going to recommend him for the Senna Cup, and then he told me he's only 12. As Luke Mottram and Daniel Fields side by side into pylon 1, that's for the lead. Daniel Fields just holding him off, but only just. There's a little bit of door banging, but nothing either driver can complain about. It's 50-50. So that was Luke Mottram making a move at hairpin 2. And that gap even smaller now. 14 tenths of a second. With just over 15 minutes to go, and they maintain that. So but everybody that is still running is on the lead lap as well, although the race leaders at some pace may catch that last couple of drivers. I think that is Tommy Farrelly. It is Tommy Farrelly just ahead of, well, I say just ahead of him. The length of the straight and then some ahead of them. So what can Luke Mottram do this time? He has a look. Oh, and he's not quite. He's got up the inside. Gets past, and now, well, I think that's an excellent move in fact, and he's managed to close off enough that Daniel couldn't challenge into pylon 1. What can Daniel do on the last half of this lap? As they head onto the back straight now. Luke Mottram with a slightly better exit onto the straight. Doing well. And as we look, Benji Smith going down the back straight there. It's third place, and fourth, still very, very close. Aaron Spendiff and Kareem Horsford in fifth. Brandon Page now, though, catching them in sixth at some rate of knots. So hopefully that will be another three. Oh, it's Kareem Horsford. Yes, up the inside. That's very nicely done, up into stadium. So what can Aaron do in response? He's got up the inside there, but I think as they collide in hairpin 2, and that was messy, but has got the job done. What, Kareem Horsford? He had to use the defensive line, and Aaron squeezed him on the curb, but he's managed to hold it and has got in front. But all of this squabbling means that Brandon Page is now very much back in the hunt. There's a contact warning out for Kareem again, so this will be his final warning. If he gets another one, he'll get a penalty. So he'll have to be very, very careful. So he's having a look. Oh, and he's got the inside line. Runs wide though. And Brandon Page definitely in that battle now with Kareem. Kareem ran wide coming out of pylon 1 during that battle with Aaron Spendiff, and now Brandon Page definitely back in contention. Sorry, as my timing just disappearing. Contact warning out for cart number 3, which is Aaron Spendiff, so that must have been for pylon 1. Not deemed enough as an ABC, but certainly a contact warning. And Brandon Page, what a superb exit of pylon 1 that was, and he's not quite got ahead, but he drew more than alongside. And the same again there. Kareem certainly does seem to be struggling slightly with that final corner onto the back straight, pylon 2. They're doing well now. And the race leaders hairpin 2 now, as you see Tommy Farrelly just ahead of them, will be in sight of them now. Gives them someone to chase. Oh, there's a big lift from Luke Mottram to avoid running into the back of Daniel Fields, who's using the defensive line for pylon 1. He's trying to run away down the straight, but I don't think that's necessarily going to work, or it is a little bit. But that gap's still very small. 0.2 of a second between them. A little over 10 minutes to go now. Oh, and that's excuse me, an opportunity missed there for Luke Mottram. Tries to go around the outside. Daniel went very, very defensive indeed, but didn't see any contact. Tommy Farrelly now having a look over his shoulder. just being aware of who is behind him. Always a good thing for drivers to be doing, especially if they know what position they're in. And this could mix things up, the back marker situation. And it doesn't. In fact, Tommy Farrelly moving well out the way. Very, very nicely done from him. As we see Kareem and Brandon, hairpin 1. Kareem running slightly wide. The same at hairpin 2, and that's allowed Brandon up the inside, but Kareem's going to have the legs down the straight, I think. Yes, he does. So leads into pylon 1. But Brandon, I have to say, driving superbly well. And he's going to get alongside now, at the very least. His nose ahead down the straight. They are officially swap positions. They must have been neck and neck as they went underneath the gantry. That is very, very close, and I think... Oh, Brandon getting past now. That was a superb move. A really, really good move from the young driver. Let's get past Kareem in hairpin 2. All he's got to do now is defend. And he'll have that. That's a 5th place for him. And he'll be happy with that after slipping back earlier on. But, and Kareem had such a good draft down that back straight. He actually had to back off the throttle to avoid hitting Brandon going into stadium. And a marshal out on the bricks usually means that there will be a penalty, and there is. And it's for Kareem Horsford, number 10, with the come-in board on the gantry, going to be receiving a 30-second penalty. I would assume for a 4th contact warning. And he's going to take that penalty board now. And it'd be quite disappointed with that. I would have thought someone who's challenging for a podium is now slipping down and is going to get a penalty. That is realistically probably going to put him a lap down on the leaders, as we see the leaders coming into hairpin 1 now, and that's very, very difficult there. And that was Daniel Fields, very, very defensive through elbow, and they put Kareem a lap down, unfortunately, and they carry on. Tommy Farrelly getting past Kareem as well, and they would have been on the same lap, so that's... Oh, and he thought he might have got away with a reduced penalty there, but unfortunately not. The marshal making sure he gets his full 30 seconds. There is Brandon Page, main beneficiary of that penalty. So having just got past him, you may say that Leandro Brown and Tommy Farrelly benefiting equally from that penalty for Kareem. As we see 3rd place Benji Smith, been running on his own for a lot of this race. Still is on his own. Whereabouts are the race lead? There are the race leaders. Heading into pylon now. Daniel Fields still leading from Luke Mottram. But Luke all over that rear bumper. He's going to be having a look as they head down the back straight now. bumper to bumper, a bit of bump drafting going on. I can see Daniel's head rocking back from the contact. Perfectly legal, of course, nose to tail on the straights is absolutely fine. Daniel Fields running slightly wide, but covers him off before he can make a move into hairpin 2. And all the time, they're closing and closing and closing. I could just see further up the balcony, supporting this man here, Brandon Page, Mr. Andrew Patch. For those of you who have got any experience of our owner-driver side, or who have ever received an email from Ryan House, it's probably Andy Patch who's put it together. We'll know Andy well. That's father, of course, of Josh Patch, number 93, Honda Cadet 93, down here today supporting Brandon Page, who's Cadet Club at the same time as Josh, I believe, to begin with. And so we are less than 5 minutes to go now. Like I said, there was no break, so this will run its full course. So we will be waiting until the clock ticks down, and then we'll have the final lap. About 4 minutes remaining. So, the race leaders now, with a bit of a gap between them, Daniel Fields and Luke Mottram, who we see here, now closing on Brandon Page. So 2.5 minutes now for Daniel Fields to hold off Luke Mottram. Benji Smith is going to be finishing third, we would think. Luke Mottram there, still in with a shot. I would have thought of getting that top step, but he's got to really push now. Try and close that gap and get past Daniel Fields, who will not want to be passed. We've seen how well he can defend, and he'll be doing the same again. As we go on to these final few laps. So an average lap of 45. In fact, the fastest lap today are 45 flat, so very, very quick indeed. 45.006. There, and that was by Luke Mottram, currently in second place. As I've said before, and I'll say again, a chasing driver is always a faster driver. And because of that, I think he's probably got that fastest lap trying to catch up to Daniel Fields, whose pace has been solid all night long. Brandon Page now just ahead of the race leader Daniel Fields. Will he move out of the way? No, he will not. Brandon not one for moving over. We will probably be going on to the final lap this time around, I would have thought. And that has actually allowed... Oh, that was very, very close indeed, but Brandon's still in the mix there. Luke Mottram getting through, and that has closed the gap down significantly. I would think as we go on to the final lap this time. Final lap board is out. And so final lap, as we see, I can't quite see the number of that driver, but they are pulling off. They will have completed enough to be classified as a finisher. That's the number 6 of Leandro Brown, so unfortunately he's going to drop a couple of positions now. However, we will follow the race leaders as they complete this final half of the lap. Daniel Fields leading. Luke Mottram still closing the gap. What can he do? He's got 2 corners and a straight. Bumper to bumper, and it's going to be very, very close indeed. He pulls alongside. Oh, he doesn't quite do it though. The fist goes in the air of Daniel Fields, who takes the checkered flag. Brandon Page takes the checkered flag for 5th place after being a lap down. The driver's not slowing at all. There we go, pulling on the bricks. But let's have a look now at this battle for 4th. Aaron Spendiff and in fact, sorry, I forgot that Kareem had that penalty, so that won't be for position. Aaron Spendiff taking the checkered flag now. Kareem Horsford, the final person to take that checkered flag. The 2 retirements, Leandro Brown and Joe Wilkes, of course. So 7 finishes overall. Kareem, the lowest classified finisher. Just above Leandro, of course, who will be classified. So as the last engine goes off, drivers can jump up. Brandon hitting the steering wheel, is not very happy with that, and a nice gesture there. Daniel Fields just helping Luke Mottram out of the kart. So we'll end the stream there, and we'll be back very soon for more championship racing.